This is a jar full of fingers, right? This is the first humanoid polyfinger clones. Those are fingers. That's a finger, that's a finger, that's a finger, and there are no hands in this jar, right? I mean, they're making body parts, you know? They're growing stuff, whatever. I mean, wow. You think about what in the world is going on. You know, I print paper out of my inkjet printer, and now they're at the place where you can print body parts out of inkjet printers. Literally. Do you know how an inkjet printer works? You know it shoots these little balls of ink at your paper? That's how it works. Well, they just take our organic matter, right, and they shoot it down. Say you want to build a vein, right? So you put a circular thing down, and then you put another layer and another one, and before you know it, you're building up a vein. An inkjet printer or printing body parts. I mean, that's crazy. It's nuts when you think about it. But they're already doing it. They're already manufacturing all these kinds of body parts, and what they're doing is they're mixing humans and animals. They're trying all these mix and match kinds of stuff. Here you've got human-animal hybrids, spark of controversy. This is a couple of years ago. When you mix a human and an animal, you get a chimera, is what it's called. Chimera, human and animal. What are they doing? Well, here's these Chinese in Shanghai who they've fused human cells with rabbit eggs, and they made the first human-animal chimeras, and then they killed them all after, 2 weeks or several days. And you say to yourself, are the next guy's going to stop after 2 weeks? If you know anything about how science works, you say, not on your life. Somebody's going to push this and say, what happens after 2 months, and let's see where this goes. And in Minnesota, the Mayo Clinic, they created pigs with human blood flowing in their body. This is the best one. Stanford is experimenting with creating mice with human brains. What's that look like? It's crazy. But then when you mix machines with humans, you get cyborgs. And so this is a funny picture. This is just photoshopped or something, and here's your iPod that folds out of your arm, right? And it's got a transducer in here, and it goes up and goes straight to the audio nerve or something, so you hear right out of the thing. I don't know. They're making body parts of everything. Every one of these things is available right now. They've made they've automated, they've artificial bladders and kidneys and discs for your vertebrae and hearts and lungs, and you work your way up, and eyes they're working on, and hearing and so on. Popular Science says that by 2015 that scientists believe that they will be able to manufacture every part of the body except the brain and the central nervous system. Wow. So what are you if you're 80% artificial? Huh? What are you?
A lawyer?
Yeah. A lawyer? No, I mean, it's kind of a serious question. What in the jury, lawyer, right? What if you're 80%? Are you a real human? Are you fully human? I'm sorry, you got me off thinking about lawyers. No, you're not fully human. Anyway, no, are you a fully human being? I mean, do you get the same kind of benefits and all that kind of stuff if you're only 20% human and all? I mean, we're in this space for which there is no analog. We're in this space where the rules, the laws, the ethics, the stuff, it doesn't work the same way, right? Brian Arthur at the Santa Fe Institute years ago went and studied the adaptation, the change rate between technology and social values and social system. 1,000,000 times difference. The technology is going faster, 1,000,000 times faster than the ability of humans to move ourselves around and change our laws and see the world in a different way and change our ethics and all this stuff. And that's why you set up all these huge kind of fights between cloning and stem cells and whatever it turns out to be. Is that the technology is way out in front, giving you the ability to do all this stuff, and everybody else is going, what? You know, the government, our fine leaders are all saying, no, we don't want to do that. And 3 days later, my friends in Singapore say, yeah, come over here, we'll do it. And they build a big biotech thing, and you know, in another year, they've got a corner on it, and they know how to do it better than anyone else. And then we find out, by the way, oh yeah, you can do stem cells without doing, you know, what are they? Fetuses and so on. And you can do it from out of your elbow or someplace. I mean. And now you've missed it because you didn't have the ability to adapt. And it's really hard. This is not easy stuff because you're running faster and faster and faster. And somehow you need to stay. There's a level of wisdom that's needed in all of this that is really quite extraordinary. I mean, it sets up all kinds of crazy things. You know, they have in vitro fertilization. You know, if you can't get a kid in the usual way, what you do is you take some egg and a sperm and you put it in a petri dish and kind of spin it up and whatever they do to the thing, and then they replant it in the woman, and you get yourself a kid, right? Well, it works if you don't screw it up. That's not a good setting. There's a better term for that. But anyway, and they're messing it up in hospitals. They're getting the wrong sperm from the wrong guy mixed up with the right, you know, and the kid comes up out the wrong color, the something blonde, you know, blonde hair or something. This is a real problem. So what are they doing? They're putting barcodes on the sperm and the eggs. Can you believe that? Here they're doing electronic tags for eggs, sperm, and embryos so that you won the little sperms and the stuff that are going. And, I mean, what? It's like going to the grocery store, right? Run. Wow. I mean, what kind of place is it that we live in where you got to do that just to keep up with and not confuse the whole process? Now they can do fertilized eggs without sperm. You don't need men to make kids anymore. There are women in this room who think that's a good idea. I mean, what kind of place is this? How does that work? Never before have you ever seen anything like that, and you're cloning, they're duplicating every kind of life that you can think of. Here's Sunnyside. He won the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness and everything, and the poor horse got gelded when it was young, and so now it's really famous, and they can't send it out to studs. So what are they going to do? Oh, they're going to duplicate. They're going to clone it. So they're cloning more and more Sunnysides. Here's the first cloned horse. This one is named Royal Blue Boone. This is the clone called Royal Blue Boone 2, right? Also, huh? Here's the first cloned cat, little kitty. Here's the first cloned dog. That's the Afghan kind of thing. That's the father and that's the mother. Or one or the other. I think that's the way it worked. Time magazine a couple of years ago said cloning is closer than you think. Well, it may already have happened, as a matter of fact. They've got gender demand. People are requesting you do studies, and it doesn't take, you don't have to do much of a study to figure out. There's a lot of parents that would like to know, and, they'd like to generate, they'd like a certain kind of kid. They might not even, they'd like more than a certain kind of kid. They'd like a certain kind of characteristics on their certain kind of kid, right? There's a market for being able to engineer kids, right? So maybe someday on Amazon you get yourself for about $300 a bouncing baby in boys and girls, right? This one weighs about 12 pounds, I think, somewhere down here, and you can get it delivered tomorrow, but it costs more, huh? How do they show up, huh? Maybe they come hermetically sealed in a can. Here's the girl, and you can use the ultrasound, and you can see that she's, I don't know, these are crazy things. But they got problems. You got to worry about this. It's funny, but There's truth to that kind of stuff. You're into space that you just don't understand where it could go, what the implications are and what the problems and so on. People are getting up to the point now where you get your own genetic code can be manufactured now for what was it, 60 grand or something like that? I don't know. It's getting cheaper and cheaper. It used to be $250,000. It's getting cheaper and cheaper. So the possibility, the clear trend is that you're going to a place where you can take a hair if you had some, and you could get the genetic code off of that, and you can then get a profile. And then if you need, if you go to a doctor, the doctor matches the profile with a certain kind of medicine, and you get just custom made for just what you need, tailoring treatments to your genetic profile. And then there's this guy, Aubrey de Grey, University of Cambridge. He may not look it, but this is a smart guy. He's a professor at Cambridge. And Aubrey de Grey has figured it out. He says that the reason why we die when we do as humans right now is because there are 7 different contributing factors to the cell degeneration. And we've figured out the solution to 5 of them. There's only 2 more that you need. We can probably do that in a couple years or 18 months or something like that. And he thinks that current 60-year-olds could live to be 200 years old. So there's hope for some of you, some of me, huh? This is real. This is real stuff. He's got a whole bunch of money, a bunch of people who put investment capital into it. He's building a business in order to do this thing. And the notion is essentially that when he figures out how to do this, you go to the drugstore and you buy pills and you pop the pills, right? And that gives you a quick 30 years. And you go for 30, and in that 30 years, exponential change, remember? And in that 30 years, that gives you enough time to stay ahead of the curve. And the new things will come, and a new thing, and a new thing, and before you know it, 200 years. Live young, die old. Not like this. You go, you live like you're 40 years old or something, and your body's all great, 35 maybe or something, and then at the end, it all comes apart. I don't know why. I mean, if you usually live this long, and you now can live that long, and if in this long you get, what, 1 family, 2 families, how many families do you get if you get this long, huh? If the whole system in the world is built upon you kicking off at 70 or 80 or 90, the whole economic system is built around that. What happens if you live that long? What do you do with all those old people that don't have anything to do? It could be riots. You could have an old riots of elderly people or something like that. Because what you'd have to do is redefine work. The whole idea of work could have to be fundamentally redefined, because it couldn't just be economic contribution, because you don't have that much, economy to contribute to. You'd probably have to start saying, well, what are grandmothers worth? And, you'd have to move off into all this soft stuff and say value and redefine value that isn't just, it is a problem. Yeah, it raises all kinds of things. Do you think scientists will do it anyway without thinking about it? Yeah, they probably will. Oh yeah. Oh no. Yes or no? Yeah. I wrote an article for a scientific journal about this, and it all depends upon their marketing strategy, John. Dave. Yeah. It's all on the marketing strategy, because if your marketing strategy is to do like Ferraris, then it costs a whole lot for a small number, and then you get old guys that kind of own it all or something like that, or real old. On the other hand, if your marketing strategy is one of, getting a whole lot of people for everything, then maybe it's in the drugstore and you go buy it and it proliferates everywhere. Then it changes everything broadly. So it kind of depends on how you approach it economically. So you say to yourself, is this all theoretical? Well, You know what Aubrey de Grey and some of these guys said, that there's one little sequence of your DNA that's the thing that causes death. I mean, that's the thing that if you get rid of that thing, you just keep on living. And that's the telomeres is what they're called. And if you could fix that thing, you know, you wouldn't die like you usually do.